Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Good morning, Bix Weir, roadrunner.com with your morning horn of Z's that you haven't seen in a week. Good morning. Taking my chaga coffee, taking my C60 Purple Power gummies. You can get these at Road to Ruta. Go to the affiliate section. C60, gotta take it. All right. Hang on. It's actually like eating candy for breakfast. I'm back. It's been refreshing not being on YouTube. It also made me understand and appreciate the deep state's power over us through censorship. I'm just floored at the amount of information I could get out. Oh, by the way, those of you who don't know, I'm on Rumble now. So go to Rumble Road to Ruta. Rumble Road to Ruta and subscribe. I can talk about everything I'm not allowed to talk about here on YouTube. But yeah, they kicked me off for talking about the ELECTION 2 years ago. They didn't want any of that talk. How dare you? If you're not a Democrat, if you're a Democrat, it's fine. No problems. If you're not, welcome to YouTube. So I will be transitioning away from YouTube over to Rumble. So make sure you go to Rumble, Road to Ruta, click subscribe. What I'm going to do from here on out, probably take me 6 months or so to transition. But from here on out, I'll talk about things I can talk about on YouTube and then post the real good stuff over on Rumble until I build up that base, because you got to make a living here and on the internet. So yeah, it's pathetic, but it also shows me, because I often wonder why my Democratic friends are so off base, completely off base. It's because of censorship. That's it. That's the only reason. It's not like they were born crazy, but censorship has skewed the entire playing field. That's why I love what's going on over at Twitter right now. People are coming back onto Twitter. The Democrats say it's the same thing with the crazy lefties. They say, if this happens, I'm never going back. I'm moving out of the United States if this happens. And none of them do. It's all bullshit. Virtue signaling. Sorry. You name it. And they never move. So they're staying on Twitter. They said, I'm gone, like CBS News. We're leaving Twitter. It's not safe. 4 days later, we're back to Twitter. It's safe now. Anyway, that whole world is falling apart. Truth is being revealed. Let's talk silver. So the silver contract for December, it's a delivery month in silver. Here's where we stand right now. Great stuff over at Mike Say 98 on Twitter. Here is what the COMEX silver inventories have done since the Operation Silver Squeeze, we'll call it. Started in February of 2001. That's when silver almost broke $30 and the whole regulatory world flipped out and the banks were flipping out. Why? What was the big deal? Big deal was they would have lost their shit. It would have gone to thousands of dollars per ounce. But Rustin Benham, the head of the CFTC, was able to tamp down the price of silver, is what he said. And that was through a huge silver lease from JP Morgan to Bank of America, and I think ultimately back to the U.S. Treasury, or partially to Warren Buffett and partially to Elon Musk. I think those are the three entities that are involved on the back end. It was 1.2 billion ounces of silver. Remember, the Hunt brothers got busted for 110 million ounces. Nice job, regulators. Oh my God. The Gary Gensler, I talk a lot on these Rumble videos about the regulators and what's really going on and what's going on with the cryptos. I'll get to part of that in a second, the stuff I can talk about. But the big thing to me, what this thing at FTX is doing is opening the eyes of the people of how prices are determined on every single market around the world. You wonder about your Apple stock, your oil futures, options. The US dollar is even determined by the same mechanism. And it's the same mechanism that FTX tried to inject into cryptos but it blew apart because it's fraudulent mechanism. And that is having 10 to 100 times the derivatives trading compared to the underlying asset. And that's how prices are set. They're set on the derivative market and not on the underlying asset. We've seen it in silver. We've been screaming about it for a long time. And the CFTC runs cover for the banking cabal. But that's how prices are set. And we're starting to see that. It's like, hey, wait a minute. This thing, FTX, they bought a derivative trading company called LedgerX, and they tried to play the games. They'd front run themselves on their own exchange. They'd front run every trade and just put massive leverage on derivatives and then make this cryptocurrency run a certain way in their benefit, trading against their investors and everything, against everything. And that's what got away from Sam Bankman-Fried. Caroline Ellison was a useful idiot, but do not let her go. That's the CEO of Alameda Trading. So mind the gap. This is all part and parcel to the Tether situation. These are the same people. And it's much bigger than these 9 people. There's a good cabal of about 20 of them living in Puerto Rico. And yes, this is the takedown of the bad side of the cryptos. It's going to get freaking painful. Remember what happened to Mt. Gox? Mt. Gox got busted, declared bankruptcy, almost the exact same thing. But over the next 8 years, the market manipulators, meaning the U.S. government, on that side of it, were able to sell off the customer's Bitcoin to keep the price low. It's shocking, really, that they were able to do that. Like dump 2,000 Bitcoin here, 2,000 Bitcoin there at the worst possible times. I outlined that a couple years ago, and I showed everybody what was going on. And it all gets back to the way the system is set up. You can have an exchange, but you have to have a derivative market to set the price of that exchange. And it all gets back to the lack of value in fiat money, unbacked fiat money. Every bank in the world is being bailed out now. Nobody's been told about it, but people are finding out. So all this is coming down to, what kind of market structure do we want? What kind of exchange do we want? Do we want the same thing that goes on at FTX to go on at, it's been going on in silver since the 1970s, and gold, and the stock market, and the bond market? It's derivatives that trade, not the underlying asset. When was the last time you saw your stock certificate? And by the way, those are rehypothecated too. It's a game of con men, and they put their people in. There was 4 ex-CFTC people at FTX and LedgerX, which is owned by FTX. By the way, the COMEX absolutely stuck their foot in their mouth by saying, no, FTX or LedgerX is fine. Don't worry about it. We've got boots on the ground. That thing is, first of all, it's bankrupt. They're in bankruptcy. You can't just sell assets and keep trading without. They said they had over a year's worth of cash in the bank to run operations. Well, whose cash is that? It's part of the bankruptcy. That's going to get divvied out to all the investors, or actually first all the customers in the bankruptcy. The 1 million creditors have their paws in that. So good luck with that. Anyway, back to silver. We are at the end game of silver. The price is set on the derivative exchange called the COMEX. The COMEX has a delivery component of physical silver. They've gone down again since the squeeze, since this operation went on. It's gone down over 100 million ounces. The silver inventory and the eligible inventory. That can change in the blink of an eye, but it's only at 35 million ounces. That's about average what the average month is for deliveries before the last few months, which has gone to almost to zero. So we have a situation that has developed. Bank of America 1 year ago in this quarter put on a 376 million ounce silver OTC additional position, which got them to 1.2 billion ounces. Remember, the Hunt brothers were dealing with 100 million ounces. Warren Buffett was dealing with 130 million ounces, but JP Morgan and Bank of America are allowed to deal in 1.2 billion ounces of silver. This is the last. Now, the big question in my mind, of the 1.2 billion, how much is pledged to SLV? How much is pledged to CEF? How much is pledged to any of the ETFs? How much is pledged? How much is not there? How much of that silver is pledged 5 times to 5 different entities? And how is this done? You notice when they took down JP Morgan and fined them $920 million, that very same quarter, JP Morgan booked a gain of $1 billion. What does that mean? They had to sell off that $1.2 billion physical silver position. And that's what they did. But it happened over 18 months. We're at the end. All year they've been writing down or delivering that physical silver. That's why the OCC, the Office of Comptroller of Currency, run by the number 2 guy, an ex-JP Morgan guy, hid all the numbers in the data by moving gold from one category into the silver category so you can't tell what it is. But we know what was on. We know during the entire year they added and added and added, such that the end of last year they had 1.2 billion ounces on lease. And then that first quarter, they changed the reporting. The OCC, the Office of Comptroller of Currencies, a U.S. regulator involved in manipulation of the markets. What? Because if they didn't do that, we would have seen that Bank of America's silver OTC short position would have disappeared over the year. And that's what's happening. This is the very end. It was 382 or a huge number of OTC silver derivatives were put on right at the fourth quarter of last year, and they were one year derivatives. So yes, I do think by the end of the year, the silver coffers at the COMEX will be gone. Right now, where we sit right now is, for some reason, there's still 200 contracts that haven't been delivered for this month, which is really weird. But we're at 48,000 contracts, which is about a little under 250, it's probably 240 million ounces. And clearly they can't deliver that. These are the open interests. These are open interests for the delivery month of September. And what happens is, as you get closer and closer to the delivery date, the end of trading is, I think, the 29th. So we got like 5 or 6 days, trading days, for this to go down. And it usually does, but it usually goes faster. So I'll be interested. Anything over the current eligible silver, I think it's around 35 million ounces, will be a struggle to deliver. So 35 million ounces would be 7,000 contracts right here is what I expect within 5 days. So 7,000 contracts. Watch for that number, and we'll find out. Anything can happen. It could be in-game. They could keep it at 40. Anything over 100 million ounces, it's game over for the COMEX because they can't deliver it. They'll just have to do failure to delivers or do these things. These are, right in here, these are the exchange for physicals where they say, oh, well, we don't have the physical silver to go to London, and they'll deliver it there, and that's a fraud over there. So they do everything they can to hide it. But it's interesting. Keep an eye on it. Yes, see, this is where the price of silver is made. The average for this month is right in here at about 100, I'd say 100 million ounce, 100,000 contracts, which is 500 million ounces of silver trade on average every single day to set the price. That is fraud. Again, same thing with FTX and LedgerX. That's what they were trying to do. That's what blew up in Caroline Ellison's face. It's not Caroline Ellison. It's not even Sam Bankman-Fried. It's the other cabal. It's the crypto cabal. It's the pedo cabal behind all that stuff. That's what blew up in their face. And that's why they lost so much money so fast. Instantly. Bang. So I think it was a good guy operation too. So we'll see what happens with that. But if you want to know who's running the show right now, JP Morgan hasn't been removed. They've just been removed as the front man. So JP Morgan's customers make the most action, and B of A now. B of A didn't even used to be in silver. 2 years ago, they had hardly any silver, and all of a sudden they're the biggest silver dealer on the planet instantly. And that happened right during the silver short squeeze. It's an operation. Rustam Benham said, we did enough to tamp down the price. But they're only going to tamp it down for 2 years, and we're at the end of that game. This is the end of the game. So get your physical silver. Go to your local coin shop, load up on as much physical silver as you can get while you can. I know you're going to have to pay $4, $5, $6, $7, $8 over spot price because spot price is a fraud. So just be prepared for that, but get it in your own possession. So important. If you have mining company stocks, get rid of them. Get your silver in your own possession. That's the only thing that's going to last. Assets in your own possession. All right. So JP Morgan kind of still running the show with Bank of America, being a useful idiot. And then BlackRock. BlackRock is a massive hedge fund that doesn't have the same reporting requirements as a normal bank. And BlackRock mining is run by Evi Hambro, BlackRock. You might know that name, Hambro, if you've been in precious metals for a long time. Way back, going to the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and all that shit. Evi Hambro currently runs that game with BlackRock. His father was Peter Hambro, huge guy in mining. And it goes back. I mean, this goes back generations. So Peter Hambro was founder of Peter Hambro Mining. Interesting, I think his mining business got taken away from him by Putin back in the day. But listen to this guy. Peter Hambro was born January 18th, 1945, son of Lieutenant Everland Bingham Hambro and grandson of Major General Sir Percy Hambro, one of the paternal ancestors of Carl Joachim Hambro, a Dutch banker. This goes back to the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, absolutely. Worked for a firm of accountants, briefly worked at Hambro's Bank, managing director, worked at Makata and deputy manager, and then opened his own mining company. And then what did his kids go on and do? Voila, Evi Hambro, managing director, head of thematic and sector-based investing, fundamental equity. Evi Hambro, managing director, is the head of thematic and sector-based investing and team leader for the natural resources team within the fundamental equity division of BlackRock's active equity group. He's responsible for the platform of thematic products, meaning ETFs and shit, and co-manages BGF World Gold, BlackRock Gold and General, and BGF World Mining Funds. He's also co-manager of BlackRock World Mining Trust, BlackRock Natural Resources Hedge Fund, and manager of a number of segregate portfolios. Oh my God, it's insane what these assholes get away with. Anyway, he's the number one son, the eldest son of Peter Hambro. Number two son is Jay Hambro, a British businessman in the mining, energy, and steel and commodity sectors. Chief investment officer for GFG Alliance. But he's leaving. He's getting booted. Check out where he started his career. Hambro began his career in the resource finance team at N.M. Rothschilds and Son. Now, I have I was at a mining conference. I was working when I was back in banking. Had dinner with a couple guys in the mining sector, the finance guys in the mining sector, and a guy from Rothschild's Bank came with us. And he was talking to me. I was sitting right next to him. He's talking to me about how Rothschild's Bank doesn't have to do the same kind of bullshit that regulars bank do. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, we don't have any rules around us because we're a private bank. I go, oh, obviously I knew the name Rothschild, and I don't think this guy was involved in like the deep, dirty stuff. He wasn't a Rothschild, but he was a pretty big up there guy in the commodity sector within Rothschilds and Sons private bank. And that's pretty big. The Rothschilds know the commodities are everything. Everything else is bullshit. And I'm like, what kind of deals do you guys do? Because we were doing pretty big mining, big haul trucks and drag lines and all that stuff, multi-tens, $50 million, $100 million deals. I'm like, what did they do? And he goes, we mainly go to companies and get ownership in the company and give them as much credit as they want, as long as we have full control of the company and the underlying assets. And I'm like, holy shit. It's like a bank behind a bank. Smart mother plucker, though, I tell you. So yeah, that was my run-in in my banking days with a Rothschild banker. Private bank doesn't have the same rules as a normal bank because they make the rules, right? Anyway, the youngest son doesn't do all that much other than he's on the board of freaking he's an active board member of listen to all these companies he's on the board member of. Think Boards Limited, Stone Pit Farms Limited, Tidal Transit Trust Limited, Lion Mining Limited, Sundala Limited, Neofield Limited, Peter Hambro Limited, Gooseneck Trading Limited. I guess this guy, the youngest son, Leo Percival Hambro, who lives in Dursley, is who knows what he does. He's behind the scenes guy. But again, that's how these guys control this thing. They hand it down from family member to family member. They're on the boards. They don't get involved in banking. On the traditional side, they're behind the scenes. Like they'll go to BlackRock, which isn't a bank. So there's a lot of things BlackRock can do that other banks cannot do. Because BlackRock's not a bank, it's a hedge fund. So Evie Hambro, good on you. Congratulations, carrying on the family criminal name of market rigging. And we'll see what happens there. Anyway, cryptos will continue it's a great thing that cryptos are going down. And here's why. I have long said we got to get rid of this crypto cabal, this group within the cryptocurrencies who went in there, took it over very early, and we need to get rid of them. It will be painful. They own a lot of shit. I talk about it a lot on these videos that I did over the last week. Go check that out. Rumble, Road to Ruta. I dig down to find the corruption. And the reason it's good that cryptos are going down is because the rot is being removed. They're removing the rot, and the rot is through these Tether type people. Tether will be gone. Everybody's talking about now that Tether was knee deep with these guys over at FTX. They were all trying to build the same thing to take control of the world. They had the congressmen in their pockets. Everything needs to be exposed, and then you can take that and overlay it to what's going on in silver and gold and the stock market and the bond market, and it's all the same shit. But this one's falling apart. With over 1 million creditors. I heard it's like 1.5 million creditors. They're not going to get away with a lot. They're trying to get away with the selling Ledger X right now, which has massive amounts of cash. They're not going to be able to do it. No bankruptcy judge in their right mind, although even the bankruptcy judges are on the dark side. So who knows what's going to happen. Just keep an eye on it. Ethereum plunges 7% as FTX account drainer dumps ETH for Bitcoin. The reality is the FTX disaster gives the market riggers and the U.S. government control of a lot of cryptos that they can dump over time when they need to. Same thing they did with Mt. Gox. So it'll be a while. Again, there are certain cryptos that really aren't in the mix of these guys, but they get caught up because most of crypto trading happens not with US dollars, but with, I'm going to trade Ethereum for Bitcoin. And that's just always been the way it goes. And Bitcoin's usually the head. So when Bitcoin goes up, everything goes up because it's all trades between currencies. There's not much cash really that comes in. There's new cash on occasion, but not much. And then you sit there and you trade your Ethereum for Bitcoin, Bitcoin for Ethereum. You start freaking out and it just keeps going. One of the good things, for the Road to Ruta people who are in Theta is not part of FTX. As far as I can tell, they don't have much. I've long been saying that Theta really was separate from a lot of the cryptos as far as the crypto cabal is concerned. Now, they do have, Binance was the only large connection. Now, people say, well, Binance is a China company. Well, it might be controlled by, they're not in China anymore, by the way, in case you were wondering. They don't have bank accounts in China, that the exchange isn't in China. It was in China for a while, and then China claimed, they were kicked out, but I still think they're under China's watchful eye. But they are the biggest exchange on the planet. They do exactly what FTX does, too. But they are also, I think, outside of Theta Labs, the largest holder of Theta. Theta needed liquidity in the beginning, so they gave Binance massive amounts of Theta and, in connection, Theta Fuel and T-Drop. So I do think Binance is going to be on the good side. They took down these, they're taking down these, they're not part of the crypto cabal. They're kind of their own deal. They might be Chinese operated and controlled, but they don't operate within the boundaries of China. I know, that sounds perfectly clear, doesn't it? Anyway, keep an eye on Ledger X. By the way, Ledger X was trying to get a clearing application done. They pulled that last week. The CFTC is right in the middle of this. They had 4 CFTC members involved in it. All of them should be tried and convicted of the criminality. That's the other thing. The revolving door between the regulators and the regulated is very obvious in this one. And hopefully, but that's always been true. I remember when I first really discovered that was Michael Dunn, a CFTC commissioner who was always anti, those tinfoil hat guys don't know what they're talking about. He was the dumbest CFTC commissioner in history. He left the CFTC after he transferred all the swaps, the paper swap contracts, to the DTCC. He went over to the DTCC and was put in charge of the 55 Water Street Vault that flooded during Hurricane Sandy, with flooding $33 trillion worth of paper contracts. Yes, there is a revolving door between the regulators and the banking cabal and the criminality. Anyway, crypto industry whistleblowers could make millions, yes. Because the CFTC can't do their job, they're either too stupid or too corrupt, they ask for whistleblowers. And yeah, anybody who wants to blow the whistle on these guys over at the crypto cabal, good luck. I mean, if you're like really going to blow the whistle, you might, not end up on this planet much longer. That's all I'm going to say on that. Because if you're an insider and you're giving up the ghost on these guys, they're going to come after you. Anyway, moving on. FTX's latest casualties: literally insured crypto bank, federally insured crypto banks. Wall Street on parade. I agree with some of the stuff that Wall Street on parade is. They've never understood cryptos, so a lot of people don't. That's okay. That's fine. But there is a couple banks that are dealing specifically, mainly in cryptos. Silvergate Bank is FDI insured, and they have massive amounts of crypto customers, over 50%. So will they be going down? Will they be asking for FDIC insurance if they go down? Can you imagine the uproar when that happens? But what's the difference between this and the criminals at JP Morgan or Citibank? It's just a smaller scale and a different asset class, but they're doing the same thing. Criminality is off the charts at JP Morgan and Citibank and Bank of America. And, we've pointed that out for a very long time. So remember, the FDIC doesn't have the money that it guarantees. They have less than 1%. And then if that derivatives are included in FDIC insurance, which that's a change they made at the last second in Dodd-Frank, there is no way the FDIC will ever give you money. It's impossible. They cannot insure $2.5 quadrillion of derivatives, but they have a huge chunk of that. So FDIC will go down when the banks go down, and there won't be any FDIC insurance available for your bank account. Sorry, should have read the fine print of whether or not they insure derivatives as well. But you don't even have to go that far, truthfully. They only have 1% of customer deposits, not even counting the derivatives. But I think in the law too, it says they have to bail out derivative trades first, which is insane. JP Morgan has $60 trillion in derivatives. Wouldn't you like to see that, though? How would that controversy look? How would that play out in front of the public and Congress? If Congress is even around, which I don't think they will be. Bill Ackerman U-turns with several investments, says cryptos are here to stay. Of course, all the bullshit, everything you hear about cryptos now has nothing to do with the crypto for the most part. Actually, the DeFi, it probably does. But with Bitcoin and Litecoin and Theta and Ethereum and the true cryptocurrency type of things that aren't DeFi'd and, you can't earn interest over here, it's all bullshit. All that stuff is bullshit. There's nothing wrong with those. They're the same. There's still 21 million Bitcoin going to be mined. It's all the stupidity that gets involved with leveraging up and exchanges. And when you it's just like money. When you put people involved between money and the people using the money, it all gets screwed up. It's why nobody can stay on a gold standard. They always have to fuck with it because they don't have enough gold. The scarcity is the key. So there's nothing wrong with cryptos. Cryptos will be fine. I don't know how long it's going to take to shake this out. Now, a lot of my friends are saying, yeah, Bix, I get the whole Band-Aid pull now. I'm like, you got to rip the Band-Aid off and have it all crash at one time and then rebuild. Because if you don't pull the Band-Aid, you get shit like this going on for 10 years. Do you really want 10 years? I mean, look at Mt. Gox. They've been able to use Mt. Gox Bitcoin. They were able to use it for like 5 years to keep the price down. Yeah, this is bigger than Mt. Gox, so believe that one. And let's just pull that damn Band-Aid. I think it's getting there. It's getting there. December, end of December, January, February, we should start seeing big moves in the takedown of the bad guys. Hopefully. Anyway, in case you guys missed it, I did do a Jenny Moonstone reading. A great one. I can't say a word about it, but you can see in the picture. Go check that out and join the private road. Support the cause. I'm back on YouTube. Hit subscribe today, and we will send you a Road to Ruta Lives coin for every 1 year membership. Go check that out. This is Bix. I'll talk to you.